really lucky to have our guest speakers today from Purina, really a world-class organization. We have Terry LeDoux, who is a veteran within the Nestlã Purina organization, 30 years within the information systems roles, and has really taken the spearheaded approach to their digital strategy and digital deployments. I think, Terry, if you want to elaborate a little bit about your digital strategy and deployment strategies, but also give us a little bit of an idea of the footprint of Purina, which probably doesn't need much of an introduction, a very iconic brand and an iconic company, but I think to give a scope of the operations.
Great. So obviously, we like to think of ourselves as the world's greatest manufacturer of pet food. And you can see here in North America, we have about 23 main manufacturing sites, and predominantly in the dry area, wet canned products, also in the litter products. So as you can imagine, when you're dealing with this type of geography, and I'm sure many organizations have this, there are many cultural differences, there are many regional differences across our factories. As much as we try to standardize, something that you can't standardize very well is that cultural aspect. It often comes with the region you're working in. So our strategy is to think big, start small, scale quickly. Our digital approach is really about people, okay? So digital by itself really doesn't do a whole lot unless you're trying to sell a digital product. As we entered this space, we were kind of focused on two things. I had two goals. One was, how do we put dignity back into the manufacturing job? And how do we put dignity back into the IT job? So the way our process works is we start with what we call explore and screen. And this is where we're looking at those solutions and the end business result and return we want to achieve. In this space, finding the right vendors is critically important. We are looking for vendors that don't want a vendor-supplier relationship. We want a partnership. We want to clearly understand what is their strategy, where is their business headed. In this digital space, there will be a lot of players moving in and out. We move to a 90-day test and learn from the time that they're on the ground to the time we finish and we look at the results. And we typically fail about 30% of the time. If we have a winner, we'll move to a scale package, deploy, and sustain, okay? And we want to do that as rapidly as you can. So how we started with Red Zone was very early in our journey. It fit perfectly with what we wanted to do for the operator. And a lesson learned, and just some advice is, culture can kill a good digital idea. Okay, so it's always good to test in more than one site. Our other site for proof of concept was our Jefferson factory. Two different factories. Jefferson is kind of a lighthouse for us in terms of TPM, and St. Joe was still kind of in that foundational phase. Results at St. Joe were amazing, but the level of operator engagement and how that turned into results was an amazing process. At Jefferson, what we saw was a very top-down approach, not as much of the operator engagement. So we kind of had to stop there and restart. Most of our factories have end-to-end PLC or controls integration. All of our equipment's run with HMIs. So an operator typically does not have to physically touch the equipment. Most things can be done from the human-machine interface. That was linked to our manufacturing execution system, which was linked to our ERP system. And imagine we have this everywhere in this factory. And for years, we tried to design this for the operator, but I'll be honest, what we designed was something really that was transactional. It was servicing the needs of the business functions, really not designed from the operator up scenario. We had lots and lots of data, but it wasn't information. It wasn't in a usable format that an operator could take action from for the most part. And the training time to teach people how to use these systems was immense. So it didn't necessarily drive the real-time decisions that we were looking to go to as the next level. Still, those systems were an advantage to us as we started the Red Zone journey. It was kind of easy to plug Red Zone in. Many of the things we created in this manufacturing execution systems environment were created during the start of Industry 3.0. And that was the tool we had to build in. Digital provides you a whole new way to think about this. And I think for us, it has dramatically changed our manufacturing execution system strategy. If you think about an operator's life and you try to think about in terms of an operator, I may be a third shift packing operator, inheriting a problem that's warehouse based from second shift. But I've never met this person, right? I just know it's a warehouse problem. So what Red Zone has allowed us to do with the frictionless communication tools they've had, it was great to stand back and watch this community structure of these factories change to become truly a community, where a neighbor's helping a neighbor. Communication is fast, it's open, it's transparent. And you saw the moods of the operators change greatly. It wasn't the come and punch the clock and just run the line. I'm a firm believer that life has to have meaning and work has to have purpose, right? And this is what I mean about putting dignity back into the manufacturing position, is that with the right collaboration, with the right communication, you can start to bring a different purpose. And that operator becomes part of something versus just being a part of the machine that's running it now. And what's great about Red Zone is, as you bring in user experience design, and Red Zone's focus on behavior based sciences and merging it with physical and digital technologies. So the practice team literally, they get about 3 hours of training on this tool before we start. And then an operator gets about an hour, right? But if you got to see what we got to see, it was amazing that operators started showing other operators what they were doing, right? They started teaching one another, and there's a lot of pride in that. And my word of caution in this space is most companies that are large and integrated from a system standpoint, the first thing they want to do is build in all this automation and integration. And we call that tightly coupled. This is one of those systems strategically we said, no, we need to be loosely coupled, right? So if somebody makes a mistake, an operator can physically fix it themselves. Nobody got in trouble. It didn't create huge amounts of extra work for the back office. And that's how our systems work today. Make a mistake, it's going to be hours for somebody in the back office to fix it. So we kept this very loosely coupled, only focused on automating the data that we truly needed to drive our business systems. When we started on this project with our first factory, St. Joe, you got to remember we have a team of people, on the manufacturing excellence side. We're really good at building big projects and thousands of tasks and having it very structured and timed out. And both teams, when we started with Red Zone, both teams were like starting to call myself and Nolan Terry, the manufacturing ME at the time. And we had to pull everyone together and say, okay, time out. We need to let Red Zone be Red Zone, and you guys need to stand back and learn, okay? This is a test and learn. They have an implementation methodology, and maybe we don't need to be as structured as we once were. Maybe we don't need to be as tense around this. And that made all the difference in the implementation. It was much more organic. It really allowed for the operators to pull what they needed when they needed it. So even for us, we were very good at implementations, a high success rate. But that level of change was very uncomfortable for both teams that were very structured in their approach previously. As we went through, after action review, and said, okay, things are running better, even with COVID-19. What was different? We went around each of our factories, and those factories that had Red Zone and those digital tools immediately said, if we didn't have these digital tools in place, we didn't have Red Zone, this would have been a much different story for us. So it made a significant difference in that communication and collaboration. That frictionless communication just continued on. Even with COVID-19, we utilized the chats, the at everyone log to communicate those important things everyone needed to see. We utilized the TVs to do video presentations from senior leaders to communicate directly with our operators. You just have some great examples of how we were able to use that technology and keep everyone informed and keep everyone safe.
No, you guys have really been phenomenal with what you guys have been able to leverage the systems and tools. I just really want to thank you for your participation today. I think very insightful, and we've really enjoyed the pleasure of working with you guys over the last few years. And I'm sure the folks here today really appreciate all the insight you guys were able to share with us.